A couple quick questions about graphing functions by hand and domain and range. So if I have an exponential growth function, it's always going to be in this form, ab to the x power. So when you're finding the domain, say to yourself, what x values can I put into the equation that will always yield a real number? So for domain, all x values work. So that's why we say the domain goes from minus infinity to infinity. When a is positive, the range of the number is the range, so the possible y values is going to go from 0 to infinity, but not include 0. If a was negative, then this would be reversed. In other words, the range would go from minus infinity to 0, and they would be parentheses. Similarly, an exponential decay, as x grows, as x gets large, the function's going to decrease. Once again, it doesn't matter what value of x I pick for the function, it's always going to result in a real number. So that's why we say the domain goes from minus infinity to infinity. Now, if a is positive, the range once again is going to go from 0 to infinity, but it will never be 0. If a is negative, though, this will be reversed and the range will go from minus infinity to 0. Now, the third part's on piecewise functions. So these are actually pretty easy. And I'm going to suggest to you that there's a couple things you need to fix on here. So if I have a piecewise function of a line, a constant, and a quadratic. So first I'm going to start with, let's do the easy one. Let's do the constant, a value of 1, a constant function. So between minus 1 and 1, my function's going to be at a constant value of 1. When we're greater than or equal to 1, so this circle should be filled in. So circle that in. It's just going to be part of the x squared function. So I know that this is just the simple squaring function. So that's going to take off as its curve from 1 until forever, since we don't restrict x anymore. Now, to the left of -1, so for values of x less than or equal to -1, so you should circle or fill this in, is of the line segment that goes from -1 out towards negative infinity. So we're going to draw that line segment in. So these tell you where to start and stop your functions. Hope that helps.